Bestiality has once again come to light after a man was caught having sex with a goat in Sharpeville, south of Gauteng, here in South Africa. The SPCA said the goat was found alive but died later. Now, in the past few years, there have been quite a few of these cases that have made the headlines. Last year, a man from Mpumalanga was fined 500 Rand for bestiality with a chicken. In a separate incident yesterday involving animal cruelty, a pair were each fined 30,000 Rand in Zastron here in South Africa for giving a monkey brandy and coke. The pair were also found guilty of transporting another monkey to the Free State without the necessary documentation. They were fined a further 10,000 Rand. Now today, here on Newsroom, we asked the SPCA, is there an increase? How common are these cases? What is happening? Now, from the National Council of the SPCA, we're joined by Jaco Pieterse, who is the Manager Society Liaison. A very good morning to you, Jaco. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Eben. Thank you for having us.
We see these disturbing cases in the media at the moment. Bestiality, feeding monkeys, brandy and coke, and that sort of thing. Do you deal with this kind of scenarios at the SPCA often, or is it the exception rather?
Sadly, the SPCA is inundated with cruelty to animal cases. So our inspectors around the country work tirelessly to prevent cruelty of different degrees and different types of cruelty.
What are the most common cases that you deal with?
Most common cases are animals that are chained or starved, basically also left without shelter, especially with the cold winter upon us. But also there are various other cases of cruelty also which are more severe, like bestiality, or where animals are abused in other instances.
I want to talk about this bestiality case because periodically here in South Africa we see bestiality cases pop up. Is it something that you're seeing as an increase in South Africa, and should society in general be alarmed and on the lookout for this kind of thing?
Well, sadly, most cases are not reported to authorities because people don't know it's illegal. Bestiality is illegal in South Africa, and it occurs with dogs, cats, farm animals, donkeys. Even we saw a case with a chicken, as you mentioned earlier. So basically it is illegal, and we urge the public to report it, because cases of bestiality later turns into child rape cases, or even adult people being raped.
Now, you say it's illegal. It's one thing for something to be illegal. It's another thing for it to be policed and for there to be convictions. Do we see enough convictions for these kinds of crimes here in South Africa?
Well, sadly, with the no numbers of being reported to the authorities, convictions are quite low. But the SPCA works hand in hand with the South African Police Service to ensure that the suspects are brought to book, and that the highest sentence possible is invoked by the magistrate.
Now, the one case that, an interesting case here, is the one that was before the courts yesterday in the Free State, where we talk about the monkeys that were being fed brandy and coke, not once, but over an extended period, so much so that this monkey started acting out and were falling around almost on a sort of daily basis. How do you view that kind of case, and what do we as the public do when we see people using wild animals in that sort of scenarios in South Africa?
Well, at the end of the day, those monkeys remain wild animals, and they should not be in captivity. And in nature, in their natural habitat, they won't be drinking alcohol, and it's not good for monkeys, or any animal for that matter, to consume alcohol. And those particular monkeys were badly emaciated, which means that there was a negative effect from not being fed the correct diet, and those monkeys suffered a tremendous cruelty.
And alcoholism, or alcohol over a period of time, how does it affect these wild animals?
Well, ultimately, for any animal, their liver is not made to break down the alcohol in their system, so obviously it has a negative effect on the animals.
What are some of the other concerns that you have with wild animals here in South Africa? Like we see there, transport without a license, but are there other scenarios, like trade in endangered species and the like, that you see on the increase?
Well, trading in wildlife is enormous in South Africa, and also animals used in circuses, wild animals used in circuses. The SPCA is strongly opposed to that, because ultimately wild animals are not there for entertainment purposes, and they shouldn't be used for entertainment or trading.
It's concerning that these acts like bestiality and the like normally escalates and becomes something worse, like child rape, rape in general, and so forth.
That's correct. And that to us, you have to curb the problem from the beginning. And even with animal abuse, it's a proven fact that most serial killers or criminals have abused an animal at one point in their life.
Yeah, that's true. I've read some of the statistics on that. It is quite scary. Jaco, thank you for joining us. That's Jaco Pieterse. He's the Manager Society Liaison of the National Council of the SPCA. Join us live here in the Newsroom studio. Talk about cruelty toward animals. If you see anyone acting in a cruel manner in any way to a wild or domesticated animal, contact the SPCA immediately. They can deal with these issues. Thank you, Jaco.
Thank you for having us.
Brilliant. Newsroom, of course, broadcast live from our studios here in Auckland Park every weekday morning between 9 and 10 a.m. We also stream live on YouTube at that time. And remember, the show's available on demand throughout the day on our YouTube channel. This is SABC News. You've been watching Newsroom. We love it in the morning.